and welcome to a brand new stream of CheesyBit and ZBit, where we talk everything that's related to cryptocurrency, financial markets, and financial products. To all the people who do not know me, I am Nida Afreen and I am your host for these platforms. So, guys, what's up? What's happening? Dubai, India, UK, US, पता नहीं Malaysia, कहाँ से लोग आप लोग आते हो, whoever joins these streams from across the globe, a very, very warm welcome. I hope this Sunday is treating you amazingly, as it is treating me. I have had an amazing last night, very, very great time with my friends, some of my friends who are, extremely, extremely nice, kind people. Sometimes I do feel that, friends become such a big part of your life. They become your family, and that's what it takes you through. And I think this is what I have had experienced, and I'm really, really happy that I got some really nice friends who are there for me, for my thick and thin, and they are very much, there all the time. So I feel so privileged. This is 1st June, guys. This is 1st June. We've arrived in June. Oh my God, 6 months with this particular, with this channel. Honestly speaking, I'm like really thrilled of the fact that, I am actually able to, just a sec. I'm actually associated with you guys, so it feels good, great. So, yeah, I mean, what more can I ask God, right? Oh my God. I don't need this, I guess. Yeah. So what's up guys, what's up Dubai, what's up India, what's up UK, कहाँ से हो आप लोग? X पे भी काफी people are joining in, and I really appreciate now that we have 3 official channels, 2 channels from on YouTube, जो कि CheesyBit एक platform है, another one is ZBit. And then there is another platform, platform which is X, जिस पर basically ZBit का official channel है. तो हम लोग 3 channel पर live हो रहे हैं, guys, right now. I mean, we broadcast on 3 mediums basically. So I'm really very excited to be able to, communicate to all you guys, on different channels right now. I know this crypto journey is like very, very different. I'm sure each one of you, when you guys are joining, आप लोग किस वजह से ज्वाइन करते हैं वो भी मुझे कभी मैं जानना चाहती हूँ, पर कोई लोग मुझे जवाब भी दे देते हैं, कोई नहीं देता है. तो गाइस, थोड़ा कंफर्टेबल हो जाएं, फील कंफर्टेबल, फील फील एट ईज. मैं आपको कच्चा नहीं चबा जाऊंगी, आप लोग मुझसे आराम से बात कर सकते हैं. मैं आप लोग को इंटरेक्शन करने के लिए इसीलिए बोलती हूँ बिकॉज आई वॉन्ट यू गाइज टू बी कंफर्टेबल इन टर्म्स ऑफ, चाहे वो कोई सिली से सिली क्वेश्चन हो या फिर कोई इजी कोई इंटेलेक्ट से इंटेलेक्ट क्वेश्चन हो. इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि हम when we are streaming for you guys, right? तो अगर हम आपके needs and requirements meet करते हैं तो हमें भी काफी बहुत ज्यादा खुशी मिलेगी. पर अगर in case आप लोग नहीं बताएंगे कि probably what I talk about or whatever the topics I talk about or maybe what I'm doing perhaps is not serving the purpose, तो मुझे भी थोड़ा सा ठीक नहीं लगेगा. But more or less, because this platform is all about cryptocurrency से हटके भी मैं काफी ट्रेडिशनल प्रोडक्ट्स के बारे में भी बातचीत करती रहती हूँ, क्योंकि एट वन पॉइंट इन टाइम ऑल ऑफ अस इंक्लूडिंग मी, हम सब लोग ट्रेडिशनल फाइनेंस से बिलोंग करते थे, राइट? हम लोग सब ट्रेडिशनल फाइनेंस से ही आ रहे हैं, क्योंकि हमको बैंकिंग के सेक्टर से, फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस की काफी हम लोग को आदत है, और शायद रहेगी भी. नाउ दैट इवन द क्रिप्टो करेंसी हैज कम, इट डजंट मीन दैट वी आर गोइंग टू एंड दैट जर्नी. तो दैट इज ऑलवेज देयर फॉर श्योर. तो अगर ट्रेडिशनल फाइनेंस से व्हेन वी आर अडॉप्टिंग दिस क्रिप्टो करेंसी, ऑफ कोर्स एक डिफिकल्ट जर्नी है फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस इंक्लूडिंग मी. जब मैं क्रिप्टो करेंसी को आई स्टार्टेड एम्ब्रेसिंग इट, आई वॉज माई सेल्फ नॉट श्योर कि यार शुड आई गेट इन टू इट, शुड आई नॉट गेट इन टू इट. क्योंकि शुरू में तो आधी से ज्यादा चीजें समझ में आती नहीं कि यार ये टेक्नोलॉजी है क्या, ये ब्लॉकचेन है क्या, ये हैशेस क्या है, ये कोडिंग लैंग्वेज क्या है. मतलब अभी तो मैं मतलब बचपन में थोड़ी सी बेसिक्स ऑफ कंप्यूटर पढ़ी होंगी, जहां पर मैंने थोड़ा सा C++, जावा एंड क्या कहते हैं, ये थोड़ी थोड़ी लैंग्वेजेस मतलब पढ़ी थी. काफी समय हो गया उसके लिए, तो लाइक इट्स बीन वेरी वेरी लॉन्ग. तो अभी जब मैं इसको देखती हूँ ना, तो आई एम लाइक व्हाट इज दिस इवन, लाइक नाउ आई रिग्रेट, यार शायद मैंने कंप्यूटर्स की वो पढ़ ली होती ना स्कूल या कॉलेज टाइम में, तो शायद दीज थिंग्स वुड हैव बिकम मोर इजियर फॉर मी. बट दैट्स ओके, आई थिंक इट्स पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ आवर लाइफ. इट डजंट मैटर अभी जस्ट बिकॉज वो मैंने उसकी स्टडी नहीं की, डजंट मीन दैट आई एम एन इलिटरेट, राइट? ऑब्वियसली थोड़ा सा टाइम लगता है टू काइंड ऑफ अंडरस्टैंड, बट दैट्स वेर इट इज यू नो वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप लोग भी इतना समझ लें कि जब मैं एक नॉन कंप्यूटर बैकग्राउंड से आकर मैं बेसिकली ये सारी चीजों को इतनी क्विकली लर्न कर ले सकती हूँ, तो आप लोग भी लर्न कर सकते हो. एंड आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट कि आपको जाके कोडिंग की लैंग्वेज सीखनी है, या आपको कंप्यूटर लैंग्वेज सीखनी है, या आपको ब्लॉकचेन टेक्नोलॉजी सीखनी है. नो, यू डोंट हैव टू नो ऑल ऑफ दैट. ओनली थिंग इज के बस क्योंकि आप एक ट्रेडर हो, एक बिजनेसमैन हो, और एक बिजनेसमैन की खासियत यही होती है, एक एंटरप्रेन्योर की यही खासियत होती है कि दे गो ऑन टू द प्लेटफॉर्म, मतलब दे व्हेनेवर वो लोग जब कोई बिजनेस में जा रहे हैं तो उनको बिजनेस की इन एंड आउट पता होनी चाहिए. जब आप एक बिजनेस के मास्टर बन जाते हो, एक आप यू नो हर चीज में एक क्या कहते हैं ना एक्सपर्टीज अर्न कर लेते हो, तभी तो आप मतलब वो चीज को पूरा इन एंड आउट अच्छे से समझ सकते हो करके, तो ही तो आप वो बिजनेस को रन कर सकते हो ना. तो इट्स द सेम थिंग विथ क्रिप्टो करेंसी टू, क्योंकि क्रिप्टो करेंसी इज ऑल्सो अबाउट अ बिजनेस. बेसिकली अगर आप अपने आप को ट्रेडर की जगह अगर आप इसमें सोचे कि मैं एक इन्वेस्टर हूं और मुझे कोई पोटेंशियल बिजनेस में इन्वेस्ट करके उससे पैसिव इनकम कमानी है, तो फिर मुझे क्या क्या एस्पेक्ट्स देखने होंगे. तो उसकी वजह से वी ट्राई टू बेसिकली अंडरस्टैंड एवरी बिट ऑफ इट, जो कि बेसिकली वी वांट यू टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट उसमें उसके पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव्स, उसके एडवांटेजेस डिसएडवांटेजेस जो भी मतलब होते हैं ना, वो सारी के सारी चीजें आप उस पर लर्न कर सके. तो आर एम इज के आप वो सारी चीजें लर्न करें. तो इसीलिए तो मैं काफी सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स पर इसका फोकस डालती रहती हूँ कि यू नो गाइज, यू नो दिस प्रोजेक्ट माइट सीम लाइक पोटेंशियल, ये वाला प्रोजेक्ट आप पिकअप कर सकते हो, वो वाला प्रोजेक्ट. तो मैंने कल की सेशंस में ऑलमोस्ट काफी सेशंस मतलब मैंने काफी एनालिसिस की है इन टर्म्स ऑफ, इवन सुई को मैंने एनालिसिस की है इन टर्म्स ऑफ अदर प्रोजेक्ट्स टू सोलाना से उसको कंपेयर किया गया. और मैं बहुत बार मैंने शायद आप लोग को बोला भी होगा कि सोलाना से अगर कोई बेटर प्रोजेक्ट है, या इथीरियम एंड बिटकॉइन को अगर किसी ने यू नो इन टर्म्स ऑफ ग्रोथ, इन टर्म्स ऑफ क्या कहते हैं रिटर्न्स, प्रॉफिट्स, अगर किसी ने कंपटीशन दिया तो वो सुई नेटवर्क है. सुई नेटवर्क ने काफी मतलब यू नो रिटर्न्स, काफी प्रॉफिट्स दिए हैं ऑब्वियसली. तो वन ऑफ द वेरी की रीजंस व्हाई आई एक्चुअली टेल वन मोर थिंग इज के अदर देन दैट देयर इज वन थिंग कॉल्ड क्या कहते हैं ना, जहां पर सुई ने लाइक in most of the scenarios has outperformed actually. तो प्रोजेक्ट अगर आउट परफॉर्म कर रहा है तो दैट इज अ फंडामेंटली स्ट्रॉन्ग प्रोजेक्ट. तो वो प्रोजेक्ट्स आपको पिकअप करनी चाहिए जो आपके लिए ठीक हो सकते हैं. तो इवन अगर आप ट्रेडिंग करते हैं या ट्रेडिंग नहीं भी करना चाहते ना, तो लॉन्ग टर्म पर्सपेक्टिव के लिए ये ऑप्शंस आपके लिए बहुत वाइबल बन जाते हैं। तो आपको ऐसी काइंड ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स को पिकअप करना सही रहता है। तो दिस इज वेयर वी आर कमिंग फ्रॉम। तो आप ये बात को समझिए कि अगर मैं सुई के बारे में काफी कुछ बातें करती रहती हूँ, तो वो इसीलिए बातें करती रहती हूँ क्योंकि सुई ने आउट परफॉर्म किया है। एंड ऑल्सो सुई इज बेसिकली अ प्रोजेक्ट विच इज ऑल्सो सपोर्टेड बाय डोनाल्ड ट्रंप एंड हिज फैमिली। तो उसमें काफी कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन आती रहती है कि उनका कहीं ना कहीं इस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए सपोर्ट है। और इसके डेवलपर्स जो हैं वो बेसिकली they work for companies like Meta, they work for companies like Facebook before। वहाँ से जो डेवलपर्स आए हैं यहाँ पर, वो बेसिकली आकर they are they've started this सुई नेटवर्क। तो ये सारी चीजें हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है टू नो इन ऑर्डर टू अंडरस्टैंड के व्हाट द प्रोजेक्ट्स फंडामेंटल्स आर। अगर उसकी टीम स्ट्रांग हो, रेप्यूटेड हो, उन लोगों का कोई पहले कुछ गलत काम नहीं हो, स्कैम्स नहीं हो, या कोई ऐसी आलतू फालतू टाइप की कोई उन्होंने पिछली प्रोजेक्ट नहीं निकाली हो, अच्छे प्रोजेक्ट्स निकाले हो या अच्छे चीज़ों पे काम किया हो, तो इसी सारी चीज़ें हमारे लिए मायने रखती है। कल मुझसे बहुत सारे लोग, मतलब आई थिंक नॉट बहुत सारे, आई थिंक देयर वर 2 people बेसिकली हु बेसिकली वर आस्किंग मी प्री सेल्स के बारे में। एक 7AIX, सॉरी व्हाट वाज द नेम, मुझे थोड़ा सा 7AIX7 राइट, करेक्ट, मैं सही बोल रही थी। तो 7AIX7 का बेसिकली ना एक टोकन, प्रीसेल टोकन आया है, तो उसके बारे में पूछ रहे थे। तो मैं उनको बस यही सलाह दे रही थी कि ना ऑल्दो इट माइट बी प्रोजेक्ट which is in pre-sale, you have to make sure कि you know every fundamental of it, like यानी उसके बारे में सब कुछ आपको जानना काफी जरूरी है। उसकी डेवलपर्स, टोकेनॉमिक्स, रोड मैप और द फ्यूचर लुक्स लाइक, वो लोग क्या डेवलप करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, व्हाट इज द यूज केस। तो जिन जिन प्रोजेक्ट्स के यूज केसेस अच्छे होते हैं ना, तो वो बेसिकली दे आर बाउंड टू परफॉर्म वेल एंड उनके प्राइजेस आर बाउंड टू शूट अप। तो दैट इज वेयर इट इज एंड दैट इज व्हाट आई वांट यू गाइज ऑल्सो टू अंडरस्टैंड। तो कमिंग टू just a sec, coming to the news, let's go to the news and see what is happening on that front। और शायद बीच बीच में मैं थोड़े वीडियोस प्ले करती रहूंगी एंड आई विल बी टेकिंग यू थ्रू डिफरेंट थिंग्स। अगर इन केस आप लोग में से कोई क्या कहते हैं, इफ यू गाइज आर देयर ऑन लाइव, यू हैव टू लेट मी नो इफ देयर इज एनीथिंग पर्टिकुलर यू वांट मी टू कवर, आई कैन डू दैट फॉर यू एज वेल। फिलहाल के लिए तो मैं न्यूज की तरफ बढ़ रही हूँ। क्रिप्टो मार्केट अगर ओवरव्यू की बात करें बिफोर वी मूव ऑन टू द न्यूज, बिटकॉइन 0.53% अप है 24 आवर्स के चेंज के हिसाब से। इथेरियम 2513.25% डाउन है। BNB एट 653.3.003% डाउन है। सोलाना एट 154.74 and it is also at 0.06% down. XRP at 2.161, 1.35% up है। तो I think overall पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव का एक कॉम्बिनेशन है। फियर एंड ग्रीड पे भी न्यूट्रल चल रहा है, ना ही लोग बहुत ज्यादा ग्रीडी हो रहे हैं, ना ही लोग फियर आउट कर रहे हैं। कुछ उतना मूवमेंट देखने को नहीं मिल रहा है। मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन भी 3.26 ट्रिलियन के आसपास है। वॉल्यूम डेफिनेटली थोड़ा सा वॉल्यूम कम हो चुका है, क्योंकि वॉल्यूम बेसिकली 3 डिजिट्स में हुआ करता था, अभी 2 डिजिट्स में दिखाई दे रहा है 87.49। तो लगता है काफी इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टमेंट्स वापस, मतलब इट हैज come down of course, and also a lot of liquidations have happened in the recent past. No doubt we know that कि recently जो भी changes आए हैं, whether it was related to tariffs or any hacks or things like that, उससे काफी कुछ फर्क तो पड़ा है। और हम देख सकते हैं कि इस पर बेसिकली impact तो हुआ है। Just give me a second, actually I just need to put my laptop on charging। Okay, sorry. I'm extremely sorry. Yeah, I was putting my laptop on charge. Yeah. तो जैसे कि मैं आपको बता रही थी कि इफेक्ट तो पड़ा है और वो हमको वॉल्यूम पर देखने को तो मिल रहा है। अभी जस्ट चलते हैं CMC 100 में, इसमें क्या हो रहा है। CMC 100 इज एट 200.70 और तो गाइस हु डू नॉट नो व्हाट इज CMC 100, तो ये कॉइन मार्केट कैप एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है जहां पर आपको सारे के सारी क्रिप्टो से रिलेटेड इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाती है। जो जो लिस्टिंग्स हुई हैं, जो जो बेसिकली क्या कहते हैं ना, जो जो क्रिप्टो करेंसीज अवेलेबल हैं, वो सारी इंफॉर्मेशन आपके पास अवेलेबल है हो जाती है। यहाँ पर CMC 100 में आपको टॉप 100 क्रिप्टो करेंसीज एज पर दिस पर्टिकुलर प्लेटफॉर्म जो इसने रिगार्ड किया है विथ द वॉल्यूम मेट्रिक्स, मतलब इसके पूरे क्राइटेरियाज हैं ऑफ कोर्स, लाइक यू नो वॉल्यूम हो गई, कितना ट्रेड होता है उसके बेसिस पे, और कितना प्रोजेक्ट फंडामेंटली स्ट्रांग है, एंड उसने रैंकिंग दे रखी है सारे के सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स को जहां पर हाईली जो डिमांडेड क्रिप्टो करेंसीज है उसके बारे में ये टॉप कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स बना कर रखा है। तो उन 100 क्रिप्टो करेंसीज में बिटकॉइन, इथेरियम, XRP, BNB, सोलाना, डोज कॉइन, ट्रॉन, ये आप अगर देखोगे ना, देयर इज अ लिस्ट ऑफ 100 ऑफ देम, कार्डानो, हाइपरलिक्विड, स्वेट, चेनलिंक, एवलांच, स्टेलर, बिटकॉइन कैश, यूनस, SCD, एलियो, टोन कॉइन, शिबा इनू, हिडेरा, लाइट कॉइन, पोल्का डॉट, मोनेरो, मतलब देखते जाइए आप, कितनी लिस्ट है ना, एल्गोरांड, सो मेनी आर देयर। तो ये सारे 100 टॉप क्रिप्टो करेंसीज इसने लिस्ट किए हैं जो कि बहुत अच्छे से परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं। आई अपोलोजाइज फॉर दिस। तो अगर आपको कहीं पर भी डाउट होता है, जैसे इवन व्हेन आई सजेस्ट समथिंग, या फिर आपको मेरी कही हुई बातों पे भी आपको नहीं जाना है, तो ऑल यू कैन डू इज गेट इन टू द CMC 100, ये टॉप 100 क्रिप्टो करेंसीज एज पर द कॉइन मार्केट कैप रेटिंग्स। तो इसमें से आप कोई भी क्रिप्टो करेंसी उठाकर आप इसमें ट्रेड कर सकते हैं फॉर श्योर, या फिर इसमें लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टिंग का भी सोच रहे हैं तो यू कैन पिकअप। यस, इट इज अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ ऑल टाइप्स ऑफ क्रिप्टो करेंसीज। तो इसमें शायद आपको NFTs मिल जाएंगे, मीम कॉइन्स भी मिल जाएंगे, एंड स्टेबल करेंसीज भी, स्टेबल कॉइन्स भी मिल जाएंगे। तो अभी द चॉइस ऑफ व्हाट यू वांट टू गेट इनटू इज टोटली अप टू यू। इट्स नॉट लाइक कोई आपको सलाह मशवरे कर रहा है या फिर आपको बहुत कुछ बोल रहा है कि ये करो वो करो एंड ऑल दैट, बिकॉज आई एम नॉट डूइंग ऑल ऑफ दैट. Reason being, I want you yourself to even do some research and then proceed with what you want to do. While I'm actually coming here and educating on various things जो important होती हैं, but at the end जब आप एक प्रोजेक्ट में जा रहे हो, जब आप एक बिजनेस में जाते हो, तो आपको पूरी उसकी नॉलेज होनी जरूरी है, राइट? तो दैट इज वॉट यू ऑल्सो नीड टू डू. यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड एवरी बिट ऑफ इट. अगर आपको प्रोजेक्ट समझ में आता है, उसकी पोटेंशियल समझ में आती है, उसका फ्यूचर समझ में आता है, तो यू आर गुड टू गो एंड यू आर गुड टू गेट इन टू इट. सो आई थिंक दैट इज वॉट मैटर्स एंड दैट इज वॉट यू शुड ऑल्सो लुक इन टू. कुछ अच्छी न्यूज लग रही है यहाँ पर. लेट्स जस्ट सी दिस. व्हाट इज दिस? Hong Kong has approved global first stablecoin regulatory bill. Hong Kong passes for stablecoin regulation impacting global markets. Major Chinese security firms focuses on stablecoin circle plans, IPO and legislative interest. Hong Kong's approval of regulatory framework for fiat-backed stablecoins positions it as the first global jurisdiction to establish oversight in this sector. Chinese brokerages such as CITIC Securities have quickly responded, conducting roadshow meetings to address this change. This new The new regulation mandates licensing for fiat-backed stablecoin issuers, significantly influencing market regulation. Institutional interest surged with major brokerages and financial firms, including CICC and GF Securities, planning discussions on the implications. Market reactions include strong statements from industry leaders. US Senator Kristen Gillibrand, highlighted the importance of legislative clarity for innovation. Meanwhile, Hong Kong's commitment to implementing the bill underscores growing global focus. Implications of Hong Kong's stablecoin legislation. That's a good news for sure. The more regulatory framework is there in the countries, I think the more stable and the more better it is. Because what happens is, all this while we know for a fact that when Bitcoin started back in 2008, it started at 0.008 cent, and I think even when Satoshi Nakamoto, when he introduced this Bitcoin out there, he didn't really have any thing in mind. Of course, one of the reasons all of us know for a fact that at that point in time when global financial crisis has happened in 2008, and all of us lost faith in our financial institutions, in our financial system, तो तभी तो बिटकॉइन की इंसेप्शन हुई थी, राइट? सो व्हेन बिटकॉइन वाज बोर्न एक्चुअली, तो the whole idea of Bitcoin was about centralization, right? Sorry, decentralization. I'm so sorry. Decentralization. तो अब decentralization की अगर हम बात करें, तो we wanted to be free from the jurisdictions and the regulatory framework of the financial institutions, as well as from the the governments and everything. तो तभी तो क्रिप्टो करेंसी की इंसेप्शन हुई थी. और जब वो आई तो बेसिकली आई थिंक देयर वाज सो मच रिलक्टेंसी इन द स्टार्टिंग. नोबडी वाज रेडी टू एक्सेप्ट इट एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. तो वो तो मतलब चलते रहता था. अभी बहुत कुछ काफी बदल चुका है बिकॉज of such thing being introduced. There were both good and bad people in it. Of course, अच्छे हीरोज तो अच्छे काम करके निकल गए, पर जो बैड हीरोज थे या जो विलन्स कहते हैं, वो बेसिकली उन्होंने काफी उसका सिस्टम का गलत फायदा भी उठाया, राइट? तो काफी स्कैम्स हर वक्त देखने को मिलते हैं इसमें, काफी हैक्स देखने को मिलते हैं. तो बेस्ड ऑन वट एवर रॉन्ग थिंग्स कीप हैपनिंग, तो गवर्नमेंट ने भी डिसाइड कर लिया एट द एंड, एंड ऑल्सो द रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क पीपल, कि भाई हमें इसको रेगुलेट करना जरूरी है. क्योंकि ऐसे में तो सब लोग मतलब जिसको भी इसकी नॉलेज होगी उसका गलत फायदा उठा के ये लोग तो बेसिकली कुछ तो कर लेंगे करके. तो अभी आई थिंक the governments are taking this initiative, and they are doing what they need to do. And also we can see that Hong Kong, being one of the countries which is also trying to regularize or regulate the globally the first stable coin regulatory bill. So definitely it's a good news. जितना रेगुलेट होगा, जितना कंट्रीज में ये सब कुछ होगा ना, तो बेसिकली काफी कुछ देखने को मिलेगा in terms of growth and development. एक बार YouTube पे चलते हैं और देखते हैं कि कुछ बिटकॉइन या क्रिप्टो करेंसी से कुछ रिलेटेड न्यूज़ कुछ होगी क्या. ये वाला वीडियो देखते हैं जो बिटकॉइन बाय बिटकॉइन 10x by 10 2030। आई थिंक माइकल सेलर का एक वीडियो है।
Do you know what's hiding in your business's data? Companies of all sizes use BigQuery to uncover new insights from their...
How do I actually transfer capital from the past and turn it into money for the future? My presentation today is directed at the 8 billion people on the planet. Bitcoin is capital, perfected capital, programmable capital, incorruptible capital. Bitcoin is going to appreciate faster than every other asset because it is engineered to outperform. It's going to go faster than gold. So a lot of people that look at Bitcoin are going to be afraid of it. They'll never touch it. They'll never benefit from it. They'll be left behind. The 21 ways to wealth. The first way to wealth. Clarity. Clarity is the topic. And that clarity of mind comes when you realize that Bitcoin is capital, perfected capital, programmable capital, incorruptible capital. The significance of that is every smart person, every thoughtful individual everywhere in the world is going to want perfected capital. Every one of your enemies is going to want incorruptible capital. And all of the AIs are going to want programmable capital. The demand for this is huge. What's it worth? It's worth half of everything. Half of everything. The second way to wealth, conviction. It starts with the observation that Bitcoin is going to appreciate faster than every other asset because it is engineered to outperform. It's going to grow faster than the S&P. It's going to appreciate faster than gold. Sorry, Peter. I should say that again. It's going to go faster than gold. Sorry, Peter. It's going to grow faster than real estate or collectibles or anything else you could imagine because it was engineered that way. And that leads us to our third way to wealth. If you're going to generate wealth, if you're going to get rich on Bitcoin, you're going to need courage. And courage means wealth favors those who embrace intelligent monetary risk. Satoshi started a fire in cyberspace. And while the fearful run from it and fools dance around it, the faithful feed the flame, dreaming of a better world bathed in the warm glow of cyberlight. What does that mean? It means that a lot of people that look at Bitcoin are going to be afraid of it. They'll never touch it. They'll never benefit from it. They'll be left behind. Then others will just juggle it. They will juggle the fire. They will make fireworks with the fire. They will create trinkets with the fire. They will create magic tricks with the fire. But those that truly understand it will feed the fire. How do you feed the fire? You feed the fire by buying the Bitcoin. Buy it, take your fiat currency, trade it for Bitcoin. Take your long-term capital, trade it for Bitcoin. Sell your bonds, trade for Bitcoin. Sell your inferior equity, sell your inferior real estate property, buy Bitcoin. Feed the fire. And what will come of that? An extraordinary explosion in the network, in the power of the network. And you will have bought your ticket to prosperity. The fourth way to wealth is cooperation. And this is very important. You're more powerful not as an individual, but with the support of your family, with your family aligned around this. If you understand Bitcoin, you can act as an individual, but when your entire family understands Bitcoin, you're much more powerful. Your parents, they have credit, they have capital. You have capability, you have conviction, you may have courage. Your children, they have time, they have potential. Your 80-year-old grandfather can draw down capital from an IRA, can borrow money from a bank, has a portfolio. The secret is transfer that capital into the hands of the child. The child's got 80 years ahead of them, right? When you think in terms of how do I actually transfer money or transfer capital from the past and turn it into money for the future, it's a generational thing. So think about the family. Families that work together are extraordinarily powerful on this journey. The fifth way to wealth in this day and age is capability. And here I could list all sorts of technologies for you to master, and I thought about it. But at the end of the day, the overarching compelling observation is you need to master artificial intelligence if you would be wealthy. When in this day and age, in the year 2025, you have at your fingertips an array of accountants. You have a group of lawyers. You have a set of professors, historians. You have at your fingertips all the collective wisdom of every great entrepreneur. You have everything that I know, everything that any other CE knows. All you have to do is go to the AI, put it in deep think mode, plug in all of your circumstances, all of your hopes, all your aspirations, all of your problems, and then start to query it and then engage with it. I tell all my executives, before you ask a lawyer, before you ask a banker, before you ask any expert, go to the AI, ask the AI, make it think. Grind the silicon overlord. Okay, this is very important because many of the suggestions I'll give you next, they were out of the reach of the working man. They were out of the reach of the middle class. You could say, yeah, those sophisticated trusts or those sophisticated legal constructs, that's great, but I don't have the money for that. I can't afford to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on lawyers. And let me tell you a secret. I have dozens of lawyers that work for me, thousands of lawyers I've employed, spent hundreds of millions of dollars on lawyers. The first thing I do when I have a question is I go and ask the AI. After I do that, I argue with it. It tells me no, I ask a different way, I threaten it. I ask it to give me a solution. I find a 95% solution, I find the solution, and then I take that solution, I send a link to my management team and my lawyers, and I say, look, I solved the problem, this is what I want to do. Give me your execution plan, and then I give them anywhere from 2 to 5 days. If you're feeling charitable, give them 5 days. If you're in a hurry, give them 2 days. If your financial advisors, if your accountants, if your lawyers, if your executives can't, if anybody, your friends, your family, if they can't figure it out in 2 to 4 days, they're going to get exited from the gene pool. change the lawyer, change the whatever. If someone said, I can't use the telephone, I can't figure out the web link, you sent me a book, but I can't read, you would find someone else to work with. This is very important. You know, the path to wealth is through capability, but 2025 is the year where every one of you became not a super genius. Every one of you is collectively 100 super geniuses that have read everything the human race has published. If you have the humility to ask for help from the AI, don't put your ego first, put your interest first. Your family will thank you in years to come.
Greatness is not modest. It is fueled by hunger, a burning desire to go bigger, higher, better, because more is more. And when it comes to invest,
the sixth way to wealth is composition. Construct the legal entities that scale your strategy and protect your assets. What do I mean by that? I mean that you can go and borrow money against your 401k, and maybe you can make an investment in an IRA, and maybe you can construct an efficient insurance policy. Perhaps you're going to want to put together a dynasty trust in Florida that's good for 300 years. But you may find that you want the timeless dynasty trust out of South Dakota that lasts forever. The normal reaction would be, I don't know how to do any of this. But my observation today is, ask the AI, figure it out, because if you figure out the appropriate legal wrapper, the corporate container, right? And by the way, I'm not giving you the exact answer, because if you live in UAE or Singapore, it's a different answer. And if you live in North Dakota, it's a different answer. And depending upon who you are, it's a different answer. But what I am telling you is, you go to the web, you fire up your AI and you start to ask it, it will give you a customized answer. So you can work hard or you can work smart. But I got to tell you, you work smart, you'll go 100 times as far. It'll be a lot easier. 10 years ago, someone would have said, it's just too hard, it takes a year, you know, the lawyers are too slow, they're too expensive, and you would punt. Not this year. This year, everybody ought to be as smart as the most sophisticated, you know, mega billionaire family would ever be. You can have the same legal advice they get. You can have the same efficiency if you decide to pursue it. Lucky number 7. The seventh way to wealth is through citizenship. Choose your economic nexus, domicile where sovereignty respects your freedom. What does that mean to you? Well, it depends on who you are. Everybody's circumstances are different, but I give you a simple prompt. Go to the AI and ask, what are the 10 best states in the United States for people that hold Bitcoin? Now go to the thing and say, why don't you rank every country in the world based upon my intention to hold Bitcoin or invest in it? And then describe your circumstances, and it will give you answers. And I would encourage everyone to think about it, because it's different living in Florida than living in certain other states. We like Wyoming. We have the Bitcoin senator from Wyoming. Thank you, Cynthia Lummis. I like Florida. I'm from Miami Beach, but you have to figure out where, at the state level, at the county level, at the city level, at the country level. Think deeply. It's not about this year. It's about this century. Where are you and your family going to be for the next 100 years? Your grandchildren will thank you. 8. The 8th path to prosperity, the 8th way to wealth. It's through civility. Respect the natural power structures of the world. If you go on safari, don't wrestle with the lions. Don't try to out-stubborn the elephants. You know, don't fall off a cliff while you're taking a selfie on a hike. respect gravity, respect the force of nature. I think everybody understands that. But what I would say beyond that is if you would generate wealth in the Bitcoin universe, think about the way the world is constructed and just remember, you don't have to topple your least favorite government in the world. You don't have to change someone's religious beliefs. You don't have to topple any particular system that exists in this world. You need to choose your battles, right? Respect social norms. Don't fight unnecessarily. You're just dissipating energy, right? Whenever I look at the world, I think there's 100 things I'd like to change, and then I think the world really only cares about my opinion on one of those things. And the likelihood that I'm going to succeed in changing the other 99 things is not high, right? If you would generate wealth, figure out what you're going to do, focus on the thing, and be civil. Oftentimes you'll meet people that have different religious beliefs, different political beliefs, different economic beliefs, different cultural beliefs than you. Strive to find common ground with them and move forward, because the inflammation and the distraction just slows you down as you move to the future. So, civility, it will do you well. The ninth way to wealth is through corporation. A well-structured corporation is the most powerful wealth creation engine on earth. So you're an individual. What's my suggestion? You go to that AI and you figure out how to create a company, whether it's a small company or multiple companies. Companies have advantages. They have special access to the banking system. Companies have special rights in every business. Companies come with legal immunities. Companies come with duration. Companies come with tax efficiencies. Companies come with all sorts of efficiencies. They're more credit worthy. Companies can sell equity. Companies can finance the future. A company can look out 30 years, project, and then draw the economic energy back to today and invest it now. Individuals can't do that. So as much as it is admirable to be an individual, right, there is no shame in being a company of one or a company of a family. I would think about, what is your path? If you look at the hierarchy of the world and you're ranking it, the individual is at the bottom of the hierarchy. The family is more powerful. The partnership is more powerful still. The small, mid-sized private business is more powerful still. The large private company is next. The small public company on an OTC market is next. Then a public company on a large capital market. Then a public company on NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange. Then there's the seasoned issuer in the U.S. capital markets. And at the very top of the pyramid is the well-known seasoned issuer in the U.S. capital markets. There's a few hundred of them in the world. What can you do when you crawl to the top of that pyramid? You can file a registration statement and sell $1 billion of securities in 6 hours. That's what you can do. I want that for each one of you. I want you to reach your full potential. And incorporation is a start to that. The 10th way to wealth is through focus. Just because you can do a thing doesn't mean that you should. I have done lots of things. I am 60 years old. One of the reasons that I have embraced Bitcoin with the religious passion and the ideological fervor that I have is because I had the opportunity to do things in my 20s and my 30s and my 40s and my 50s. You know, and what you find is that it's very challenging to change the world operationally. most of my great ideas I thought were infallible, but it turned out that they didn't work out the way I thought they would. In fact, if you invent a new product, a new service, a new whatever, there's a 90% chance over 5 years it'll fail. If you invest in Bitcoin on your balance sheet, there's a 90% chance over 5 years it'll succeed. As I push out to the 30 or 40 year time frame, there's a 99% chance every operational idea fails, and there's a 99% chance every financial idea that rests upon a foundation of Bitcoin succeeds. So don't confuse ambition with accomplishment, right? Keep in mind that the property company, the company that owns the Bitcoin, is looking at a 30 to 60% ARR every year. You're growing 30, 40, 50% if you do nothing. Now think about every operational business, your restaurant, your hotel, your whatever. You get up on day one of the year and then you're going to grow the business 30% every year for the next 20 years. It's been done by 7 companies. We call them the Magnificent Seven. There's 400 million that tried. So in this particular case, make sure that when you come up with a strategy, focus on it. Don't get distracted.
Companies of all sizes use BigQuery to uncover new insights from their data, like cost savings, operational.
The 11th way to wealth is through equity. What does that mean? It means share your opportunity with investors willing to share your risk. A company can do this. An individual cannot do this. Metaplanet has done this. Metaplanet went from 10 million to a $5 billion market cap with the partnership of their equity investors. Without their equity investors, they're nothing. My company went from a $1 billion enterprise to a $100 billion enterprise with the help of our equity investors. What are you doing? Right? You have the company, you have the strategy, you offer them the opportunity. Right? If you're a dentist and you make $200,000 a year in cash flow, you can buy 200,000 of Bitcoin every year for 20 years. And that's not a bad idea. You'll be the richest dentist on your block. But you can incorporate the dental practice, get it valued at 5 times cash flow, get $1 million value, sell 33% of it for $500,000, take the $500,000, invest in Bitcoin today, wait a year, raise another $500,000 at a double market cap, 2, 3, 4 times NAV, invest that. Wait another year, raise $3 million, invest that. You'll be the first billionaire dentist on your block. And what did you do differently? You partnered with someone else and you cut them in. Right? That's what strategy's done. That's what Metaplanet has done. That's what Similar is doing. You can do it. The 12th way to wealth is through credit. What does that mean? It means there are a lot of people in the world that are afraid of the future. There are a lot of people that want to protect their money or they want a small yield. In Japan, corporate bonds yield 50 basis points. In the U.S., investment grade bonds yield 500 basis points. When you as a corporation give creditors certainty, you give them a fixed coupon, you give them a fixed dividend, and you give them seniority in your capital structure, you turn that risk into yield. You're giving them certainty, security, yield, and what you're getting back is the capital. The world's full of people. I'm a retiree. I want a guaranteed 8%. I don't want to lose my money. If you give them that proposition, you're going to get the money and it's going to compound at 30 to 60%. The worst case is you're capturing the 22% spread, but it's compounding up with all the capital up front. And so credit sometimes is a bad word, but at the end of the day, you as the individual creating a company can create credit. If I want to be the billionaire dentist on the block, I incorporate, I sell some equity, I sell some of my future, I get the stock up, and then I go borrow some money, or I sell a preferred stock or some instrument to someone that wants less risk, less return, more certainty. And I rock back and forth. And the goal is not to take $200,000 of cash flow a year or $50,000 of cash flow a year and invest over 20 years. The goal is to accelerate 100 times as much money through proper financing on my corporate entity now and invest it in the world's greatest asset, which is Bitcoin. So here we have 13, way 13. 13 is not always a happy number. I use the word compliance. You should create the best company you can create within the rules of your market. Every market is different. But think about this. Public companies have special rights. They can issue equity and debt. Trust companies have other special rights. They're more tax efficient. Insurance companies have special rights. They can reinvest annuities and they can assume risk and they can create very tax efficient vehicles. A broker-dealer has special rights. An exchange has special rights. The bank has special rights. A bank can take $1 million of capital and print $20 million worth of fiat currency. They can lever 20 to 1. Okay, that's an advantage. So while compliance sounds like a difficult word, if you create a company and you understand the rules of the road in the market you function in, you can create a special, very, very productive enterprise. And then you can use the power of that enterprise in order to raise capital, invest in Bitcoin, and create wealth. So it's more intricate, but if you have the talent to do it, it will allow you to go faster and further. 14, capitalization. Your goal is to raise and reinvest capital relentlessly, as fast as you can, as much as you can, as fast as you can. The velocity compounds the wealth. So, you create that practice, the small hotel, you incorporate, you sell 10% of the equity, you buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin goes up, the value of the hotel goes up, you sell 20%, you buy more Bitcoin, the value of the enterprise goes up, you borrow a little bit of money, you buy Bitcoin, the value of the enterprise goes up. You're continually raising capital. You have cash flow, you buy Bitcoin. You have treasury assets, you buy Bitcoin. You have a house that doesn't have a mortgage on it? Okay, well, good for you. You could borrow money at 6%, invest it at, it's been going up 80% for the past year. So you can capture, even if you look at a 30 or 20% ARR, you're borrowing at 6, you're investing at 20, you're capturing the spread, it's compounding. This is a race to capitalize on Bitcoin. He who has the most Bitcoin at the end of the game wins. Communication. No one's going to give you money if they don't trust you. The creditors won't give you, they won't take or give you a loan. They won't buy your bond. They won't buy your preferred stock. The equity investors won't buy your stock. No one will do business with you. Employees, vendors, they're not going to trust you. You must speak with candor. You must act with transparency, you should repeat that often, using every modern digital channel. You don't need a complicated strategy to build wealth in the Bitcoin universe. You simply need a straightforward one that everyone else understands. Once they understand what you're going to do, they will support you, and then they will make you successful. So communicate. Way number 16 is commitment. Don't allow yourself to be distracted. A lot of people discovered Bitcoin before me. People discovered in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. And then they went on to build Yo-Yo Coin. And then they went on to build the thing to juggle the Bitcoin. And then they went on to write the book about how smart they are about having discovered the Bitcoin. And then they created the business and they got a board of directors that made them sell the Bitcoin. Right? So, commitment to the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is the idea. Don't feed the trolls. When people cack at you online and tell you you're stupid, don't argue with them. Don't chase, by the way, don't get distracted by your good ideas. Don't chase your good ideas. Satoshi gave you an idea worth half of everything on earth. The most common mistake entrepreneurs make is they fall in love with their own idea and then they chase it. You have the world's greatest idea, the greatest idea in the history of the human race. It's there. You're living during an age where the majority of the planet doesn't get it. All you have to do is figure out how to capitalize it right now. But there will be a million other ideas. Don't fight lost causes. Choose your battles. Don't try to fix stuff, beyond your reach. You might have an opinion about this and that and the other thing, and it might make you really mad, and you might be burning about it, and you might think, this is just awful. All that is true. I agree with you. But the truth is, the world probably doesn't care what you think. And unless you can stop the war yourself, and if you can stop the war, you know you can do that, then you should focus on that. But if you can't, then don't take your own success for granted. Avoid delusive distractions. Way number 17, deliver consistent, precise, reliable execution. Be relentless. Don't take your customer for granted. Don't take your security for granted. Don't take your success for granted. Laser-like focus. The world wants perfection from you. Or when I first got to DuPont, they said, you are allowed up to, but not including, one mistake. Okay, so maybe you think you can juggle 10 razor blades and do 20 things while you opine on 50 topics on Twitter X, right? The person you're competing with is laser-like focused, and the marketplace will shift to whoever is laser-like focused.
Here are 5 facts every investor should know about the NASDAQ 100. The NASDAQ 100 comprises the 100 largest non-financial companies listed on the NASDAQ. 2. It heavily focuses on giant tech firms whose products you use every day. 3. Since its inception, it has achieved an ROI of
18. Adaptation. Over a long enough timeline, every counterparty will fail, including you. Over 100 years, everybody you trust, every bank, every company, everything, every structure that works now will fail. You will need to adapt. A wise person is prepared to abandon their baggage at several times along the road of life. So be prepared. Have a plan. Work it now. Be monitoring it every quarter or every year. And at some point, when that is no longer the right path, don't be ashamed to change the path. Have a succession plan. Keep your affairs in order. Way 19, evolution. Build on your core strengths. Leverage your strongest assets. Your goal is graceful evolution, not radical mutation. Right? If you happen to have skill in a culture, in a capital market, in a thing, you want a business that grows based upon leveraging that. When you get over your skis and you decide to go do something in a totally random new area, the risk of that execution goes up by 100-fold. Way 20, advocacy. Inspire others to walk the Bitcoin path. Become an evangelist for economic freedom. The more individuals, corporations, governments, institutions, cities, leaders embrace Bitcoin, the more likely you are to succeed, the more likely they are to succeed, the more likely Bitcoin is to succeed, the more likely the human race is to succeed. '21. The way to wealth is through generosity. When you are successful, and you will be successful, get up every morning and spread happiness, share security, deliver hope to those less fortunate than you. You found the path first. You found the way first. You should spread good karma. Make sure that you're delivering that to your employees, your family, your friends, your customers, your investors, and your community. They will see that glow. They will respect you. They will support you. They will be inspired by you. But someone much greater than me, Satoshi, with none of that information, with none of that proof, with none of that time, said this many, many years ago, the most important 12 words in the English language. It might make sense to get some in case it catches on. Thank you. Thank you for your support. I'm here because of all of you, and I look forward to seeing you next year.
I think this was a very good information if we look into. I think he's given some really good advices and things like that. I think overall what he's trying to emphasize is like, yes, Bitcoin is the future. So ultimately all it goes about is like it goes round and round and it comes to that Bitcoin is what is what it will be future. So so many great personalities, influential people, so many people, they do talk about all these things, and it's very, very inspiring to see such things. So all we need to understand is understand this particular thing from various people's point of view. Of course, the very major people who are the backbone of this industry. So that's what it's all about. So maybe I can let's see if there's any kind of news. This is what I've covered already. So Hong Kong is in the regulations aspect of it. That's good. Shiba Inu burn surge 2.48. Ross Ulbricht receives 31. Oh, this looks like a good news. What's it? Honestly speaking, I didn't get what was this all about. Maybe I'll have to look into some more information on this part. And Ross Ulbricht, I mean, why is he even receiving this donation? That's something I'm also not too sure. I need to read the story behind this. I'm not too sure what is it, so I wouldn't be able to discuss this probably. I think it's a token unlocking day for Sui, if I'm not wrong. Let me just open Sui. Token unlocks. So you can see these are the popular tokens on the Sui network chain. It's Walrus, Deepbook Protocol, Cetus Protocol, Lo-Fi, Bluefin, Suiname Service, Suilend, Navy Protocol, Sudang, Lumiwave, Memefi, Scallop, Chirp, Toilet Dust, Seed, Artfi, Uni, Sulama. Most visited cryptocurrencies, global prices. I don't see any information. So I think 1st June being the day of unlockment, they've unlocked 58.3 million Sui already, which is 0.58% supply is increased. However, the price didn't have that kind of an effect. I expected it to go further down, reason being the supply is more. So let's just open ChatGPT and see if there is any news on Sui's price predictions and everything. Of course, the token unlocks have happened, so definitely the price, if the supply is increased and the demand is not filled, then probably we might see that it is the price is going to go further down. That is what is expected. So Binance is predicting that it would stay at around 3.25 or 26 only. CoinDCX says a gradual projecting prices of 330 rupees on June 2nd, suggesting modest gains. CoinCodex says it can go to 2.5 and by June 5th. So this article was written on 29th May. It's a bit old. So on May 22nd, the 2025 CETOS protocol, a decentralized exchange operating on the Sui blockchain, suffered a major exploit due to a vulnerability in its smart contract code. The attacker exploited this flaw to drain approximately 223 million from various liquidity pools, including assets like Sui tokens and stable coins. In response, Sui network validators swiftly froze around 162 million of the stolen funds, preventing further loss. Subsequently, the Sui community conducted an on-chain vote where 90.9% validators approved transferring the frozen assets to a secure multi-signature wallet. This wallet is jointly managed by CETOS protocol. the Sui Foundation blockchain security from OtaSec. To address the remaining uncovered funds, CETUS protocol has offered the hacker a 6 million white hat bounty in exchange for returning the stolen assets. Additionally, the Sui Foundation has extended a loan to CETUS to ensure that all affected users are fully compensated. As of now, the 162 million in recovered funds are securely held in the multi-signature wallet, and CETUS protocol is actively working on compensating affected users. The platform aims to fully resume operations within a week, implementing necessary upgrades and security audits to prevent future incidents. It's a good news, of course. So 162 million is recovered, and basically they've offered 6 million to the hacker to kind of send back the rest of the amount also. So hopefully maybe they will be able to recover all of that. But having said that, I think we need to understand that fact it's still under progress. And now that the token unlocks have happened today, which is June 1st, the chances of prices might shoot down, given that supply is more in the market and demand is less. Of course, I'm sure a lot of people, including you and me, we would have lost a little bit of confidence, given that this information is giving a slight comfort, but not completely trust as well. So it does not clearly says what is going to happen on that front and what is happening with. So maybe we can look into this in coming few days and see what will shape up on that front. So recently hacked CETUS protocol took to X to inform its users and the general public of its progress in recovering the stolen funds. It stated that it had received approval via the on-chain vote to transfer quarantined funds to multi-signature trust account. CETUS recovery proposal received support through on-chain vote. So the Sui blockchain native decentralized exchange known as CETUS protocol was a victim of a major exploit on May 22nd. The perpetrator targeted a vulnerability in its concentrated liquidity market maker contract. So CETUS hacker leveraged unhacked math operations and a third-party code library. Once in, it manipulated prices using a flash saw, draining several pools by faking liquidity deposits and repeatedly withdrawing real tokens. So the unfortunate event led to the loss of approximately 220 million in cryptocurrencies. Although the protocol later froze 162 million of the funds, at about 48 hours later, the Sui community united to pass a critical on-chain vote for the proposed recovery process. This is good, right? I mean, they are giving 6 million to the hacker to kind of recover out of it. That money itself is not theirs, that it does not belong to the hacker, it belongs to all the users who come to trade on that platform. But still, the CETUS protocol is being so nice and generous to be able to offer that 6 million bounty to the hacker to be able to recover all the money that they have taken. So I think they're being nice and generous, that's what I can say. So overall, market sentiments remain neutral. Sui crypto is up 4.12% today against the US dollar. BTC, Sui to BTC increased by 3.21% today. Sui to Ether increased by 4.01%. Sui crypto is currently trading at 30.63, above our prediction on June 5th. So the 14 period RSI says the value is neutral and 37.26. Stochastic RSI is showing 0.77. Buy signal, stochastic fast buy, commodity channel index minus 66.67. Average directional index 23.19. Awesome oscillator 0.13%. Momentum MACD. $35, 46, 40, 42.83, 42.83, 51.82. $47.64, 47. So on the larger time frames, it's not yet reached its oversold territory for sure. 48.7. On larger time frames, it's always like still not reached its oversold territory. So let's just wait. Maybe today has been the unlocking day. Firstly, probably the prices might shoot down. Let's just see how the institutional, we just need to observe the institutional investments. That is what matters, because the large whales play a significant role whenever you're entering the markets. It's important to understand while you are looking at the volume indicator to know when the whale entries are happening. So whenever the whale entries happen, it's very important that we catch that move and enter into the market at the same time. So it's very essential. So so we have seen of all of, obviously on the bigger time frames, it's basically not reached completely in the oversold. So maybe we can add Fibonacci and say so from 0.618 stage, the price went on further down, so it did not retrieve for sure. So even at 0.5 level, it did not reach down. So the price can further go down. There's no right buying position at the moment, for sure. So guys, I'll be taking a small 5 minutes break. Meanwhile, I'll be playing some information that you guys can watch for some time.
The world is on the brink of war. Captain America.
And I'll catch with you guys in 5 minutes.
So welcome to another fantastic Fianna Rose event. I can't tell you how incredibly excited we are for this one. In fact, it was 4 years ago that we came out of COVID, and the very first event we did out of COVID was with the man, the myth, the legend himself, the Bitcoin evangelist, that's right, Michael Saylor. And we're fortunate enough to have him back with us. And I think that the timing couldn't be more relevant, more important, given the current Bitcoin climate. Michael, share with us a little bit about what we're going to talk about.
Thanks, Pablo. Well, Bitcoin just tapped 100K, and so 2025 represents the first year of institutional adoption. We've now entered the Bitcoin gold rush. So I'm excited to talk to the Fana Rose Club about the Bitcoin gold rush, how it's going to go for the next 10 years, and how everybody can cash in.
So it's just like the Klondike, the gold rush, the Bitcoin rush. That's it. So like we like to say, pardon me, strap in, get ready for another fantastic Fana Rose event. Thank you, Michael. All right, let's get into this, guys, tonight, because we're all here to hear about the man, the myth, the evangelist himself, right? It's almost like I got the Bitcoin Holy Ghost in me, right? The first event we did coming out of COVID in February of 21 was with Michael Saylor. We called him up and he didn't hesitate. He was very, very gracious with his. And so we brought him in and we did a conversation then. Bitcoin was at 34. How many people bought in at 34? How many people wish they bought in at 34? There should be a lot more hands in the audience. And by the end of Michael's conversation, pretty much all of you will have your hands up saying you wish you bought in at 34. But with that said, I love this story, and because one of our members, who's a friend of mine, knew nothing about Bitcoin, absolutely nothing. And he came and he listened and he was like, "Oh, Pablo, that was a really interesting conversation." He bought a little Bitcoin and he bought a little more Bitcoin. And in the 4 years since, he's bought a lot more Bitcoin. Let's just say he is 8 figures in as far as how he's done with it from his little investment. He's done incredibly well. And this is now the 3rd time that we've had Michael in. And I think that this is the most important time because of where we are with the Bitcoin climate, the cryptocurrency climate and the new administration, the Loomis bill, and so on and so forth. So with that said, I'm going to kind of read really quickly the introduction for Michael, who I feel does not need an introduction. So bear with me as I read his bio. Michael is the executive chairman and co-founder of MicroStrategy, a publicly traded business intelligence firm, and a holder of, let's just say, a lot of Bitcoin, because this was written probably before your last purchase, Michael, so bear with me. He's also the founder of Alarm.com, named inventor of 48 plus patents, and the author of the book, The Mobile Wave. He founded the Saylor Academy, Saylor.org, which is a nonprofit that has provided free education to over 1.8 million students. He's an advocate for the Bitcoin Standard, Hope.com, with dual degrees from MIT in aerospace engineering and history of science. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Michael Saylor. Thank you.
I'm delighted to see you all tonight. Okay, check. Can we just adjust? Okay. Thanks for coming. I'm I'm going to talk about money. If you don't want money, if you don't need money, if you don't care about money, you could ignore me. If money is interesting to you, then this should be an interesting talk. The year's 2025. I think 2025 is the first year of institutional adoption of Bitcoin. I think of it as the first year of the gold rush. There's a 10-year period from 2025 to 2035. I refer to that as the gold rush years. Why? I'm going to explain it in a second, but the short of it is, this is the first year that a mega corporation, a public company, could start to buy Bitcoin in quantities, billions. This is the first year that they're seriously talking about Bitcoin being purchased by governments, by states. And by the time we get to 2035, 99% of all the Bitcoin will have been mined. The last 1% gets produced in the next 100 years. So if you want Bitcoin, you probably want to buy it in the next 10 years, because once you get to 2035, for all practical purposes, it's a capped supply, and the only way to get it is to bid up the price astronomically. So it's an important year. Let me start by talking about economic and technology challenges. This faces every investor, every executive, everybody in business, this challenge. First of all, if you're an investor, you've got to decide what to invest your money in. This is the list of all the various assets. You can buy Magnificent Seven, NASDAQ stocks, you can buy bonds, you can buy currency, you can buy REITs, you can buy real estate. What you see is that conventional wisdom is you got to beat CPI, which is supposed to be 2 or 3%, and people think they're getting more than 2 to 3%, and then that's good. But the truth is, the real inflation rate isn't the CPI, it's the monetary inflation rate. That is the rate at which the money supply expands, or the rate at which scarce desirable assets appreciate in price. An interesting surrogate would be, what's the cost of an acre of land in Miami Beach on the water? My house was built on about 3 acres, 2 acres and 1, and that land went for $10,000 an acre in 2030. That land's at least $10 million an acre today. If you do the math, it works out to more than 7% inflation. If you look at Palm Beach real estate on the beach, there's no way it's going up 2% a year. Things that are very scarce, very desirable, are appreciating closer to the S&P index. If you want a surrogate, if you're wondering how fast is the money supply expanding, what is the cost of capital, what do I have to beat as a hurdle rate to keep my wealth? It's probably the S&P index. And so what you see here is most diversification is just destroying wealth. If you diversify out of anything other than maybe you get the Magnificent Seven, you're probably underperforming that monetary inflation rate. That's a challenge. If you're running a company, a public company or private company, if you can't grow organically 15% a year, if you're not growing your cash flows 15% a year, if you don't have a growth story saying we're going to be 20% next year and another 20, nobody wants to invest in you. You can't go public. If you are public company investors lose interest in you. Your options market collapses. Your liquidity collapses. You're in essence a zombie company. You're not going to go out of business. There's a lot of honorable businesses that grow 1, 2, 3% a year. In fact, it works out that 99%, if not 99.9% of all businesses cannot grow 15% a year. They won't tell you that, right? They'll make you feel like you're a failure or a loser if you're not growing 15 or 20% a year. But this is a dilemma, and it faces every public company, every private entrepreneur. And then here's a chart that's sobering. In the 21st century, the winners are all digital monopolies. That is the Magnificent Seven, and that's the S&P 500. And what you can see is if you're Apple, you're Google, you're Meta, you're Microsoft, you're Amazon, you're winning. Everybody else is losing. 493 companies. The S&P 500 is the 500 greatest companies in the world, or at least in the U.S. 493 of the 500 are losing. Okay? Don't feel bad if you're not outperforming Jeff Bezos. 20,000 retailers had to fail for Amazon to succeed. 20,000 media companies had to fail for Google or Meta to succeed. 20,000 device companies have to fail for Apple to succeed. It's really a sad situation when you think about it. But if you're an investor, your portfolio doesn't work if you don't own some of the Magnificent Seven, right? Every other investment idea probably not working. And if you're a company executive, you're probably not winning. Now in technology, if you want to win, you can't miss the next wave. Whether it's personal computers, whether it's the graphical user interface, whether it's the internet, whether it's mobile computing, cloud. Right now, everybody talks about AI, 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 AI. If you don't hear about AI, you're probably deaf. But I'm here to talk about what I think is the most compelling next wave, the wave that you can catch. If you think you can compete with NVIDIA, you have at it. But I don't think Apple thinks they can compete with NVIDIA. It's not easy. But digital capital is the next wave, and everybody can catch this wave. Now I've laid out the problem. Let's talk about the Bitcoin solution. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin's the next wave. Today it is the 7th largest asset in the world. And you can count them, right? Number 1 asset in the world, gold. 5,000 year head start. If you're not 5,000 years old, if you don't want to wait 5,000 years, you're in the right place, because I'm going to give you a fast track. After that, you got the Magnificent Seven. You got NVIDIA, you got Apple, you got Microsoft, you got Amazon, you got Alphabet, you got Meta, and then just creeping in there, you've got some silver, and then you've got Saudi Aramco. But if you look at this, what you'll see is that the fastest horse in the race, the one that's actually moving up the leaderboard the fastest, is Bitcoin. 62% a year, ARR. Not for the past year, not for the past 4 years, not for the past 6 years, for the past 10, ever since it started, more than 62% a year. That's just the past 4 years, though. And it is running to the top, and it will run past all the Magnificent Seven, and it will run past gold, and I'm going to show you why in the rest of my presentation. Now, it's not just the 7th largest, right? It's the fastest growing. It is the most popular in the world, most popular asset. I walk to the beach in southern Italy, people recognize me. I'm walking down into a hamburger shack in Uruguay, people recognize me. I'm on the tarmac and the runway in Switzerland. The guy that's servicing the engines and he's guiding the airplanes on the flight line. They recognize me, right? Bitcoin is spread across hundreds of millions of people. Probably 500 million people know what this is, and they're all very passionate about it in a way that they're not passionate about maybe Saudi Aramco or Meta stock. It's the most interesting because something is happening every minute of the day. You know, it crashed at 90,000 2 days ago. People are losing their minds. Smashed through 100,000. My phone's ringing off the hook. It's always moving. Much more interesting than these other things. It's pure digital. Something that, if you can wire $1 billion from one iPhone to another Android phone between 6 billion people in a split second, that becomes very interesting and very digital, right? You can't digitize silver, you can't digitize gold. Most of these other things are just securities. you can't even take custody of your own security. You can't trade those securities on Saturday afternoon. So Bitcoin is pure digital asset. It's useful. How useful? You can, if you need $1 billion in 5 minutes on Saturday afternoon and your life depended upon it, there's only one thing up there that will actually give it to you. Only one thing. People, what's the consequence of that? Well, it's volatile, it's interesting. And lastly, it's global. The Magnificent Seven stocks are really just Western. They're United States, a little bit of Western Europe. Saudi Aramco is Middle East. You don't see any Chinese companies up there, right? And so Bitcoin is very, very rare combination of things that make it interesting to billions of people around the planet. Now, what happens when I put Bitcoin on my asset allocation chart here? Well, it just punches a hole in it, right? Like when I didn't put Bitcoin up there first because you wouldn't see anything else. Everything else is relatively uninteresting against 60%. What you see up there is there's an answer, and then there's a bunch of noise. There's a signal, and there's a bunch of noise. And if we look at it, that's 60% for 4 years. And when you look at it against this chart, this makes it much simpler. You have a bunch of money. Lockdowns come along in August of 2020. You can buy bonds, you can buy gold, you can buy real estate. All three of those don't beat the S&P index. They don't beat the hurdle rate. The conventional cost of capital is the S&P index, is 13% every year for 4 years. Real estate, probably less volatile, but lower boost. Gold is only half as powerful. If you capitalize your entire bank on bonds, well, you end up with Silicon Valley Bank, right? Your bank goes bankrupt. Bonds are an awful investment. The Magnificent Seven, good idea. Buy the 7 greatest companies in the world. Okay, good idea. That doubles the S&P, right? You can outperform if you just buy the good ones. I've said oftentimes, I say, diversification is selling the winner to buy the losers. So when you're holding the S&P, you gave up the Magnificent Seven. You might as well just buy the top 7, throw away everything else. But the problem is, you're living with the top 7. The 3 richest guys in the world are going to be on the podium at the inauguration on Monday. They are Bezos, Musk, Zuckerberg.
Greatness is not modest. It is fueled by hunger.
It's not a surprise. And then Bitcoin. Bitcoin is, if you can't beat Bezos, Musk, and Zuckerberg, and if you're not going to actually buy those stocks, how do you outperform them? Well, Bitcoin is double. Bitcoin is 4 to 5 times better than the S&P index. Right? It's a pretty compelling chart. You might say, well, it's just the last 4 years. But the truth is, Bitcoin's the best asset in 11 of the past 14 years. This has been the story for 15 years now. If you look at every other asset class, well, you've got one that's up 147% a year on average since 2011. The next best is 16. And everything else is just languishing, right? There's a signal there. It's screaming at you. It's not just the best performing asset, it's the best performing uncorrelated asset. If you go to conferences of high net worth individuals, the affluent, JP Morgan puts on one. It's called the Alternative Investments Conference. The idea is you're supposed to find an alternative thing to invest in, which isn't risk assets. You're not supposed to just buy a portfolio of equities. So find me something that will go up in value that isn't correlated to equities. This is what every endowment manager at Yale or Harvard is looking for. They're looking for assets they can buy that aren't correlated to the stock market. It might be timber rights, or it might be real estate. Real estate's the most common. It might be intellectual property rights or some other random thing, a natural gas pipeline. Well, in this case, it turns out that Bitcoin is the uncorrelated asset, the greatest uncorrelated asset in the world, but you don't have to take my word for it. These are Fidelity's numbers. If you check it, it just has the weakest correlation, very low correlation to the S&P, but also it's got the highest Sharpe ratio. So for the volatility you're taking, you're getting outsized performance. A year ago, the first ETFs were approved for Bitcoin, right? In January of 2024. BlackRock brought out one called IBIT. BlackRock is the largest money manager in the world. They have 1,101 ETFs. And the Bitcoin ETF went from dead last to number 13 in 12 months. Basically, in the first year, it skyrocketed above 99%, right to the top. In fact, it didn't just go to the top. It turns out that IBIT is the most successful ETF launch in the history of Wall Street. In the last 40 years, the biggest innovation since Bitcoin, the biggest innovation, if you got to go back 40 years, is ETFs. This idea you can buy a package of the S&P index called SPY. And they've been around forever, and this Bitcoin spot ETF just blows past everything and scorches the earth. That's how much demand there was to invest in this asset. In fact, BlackRock's ETF outstripped its own gold ETF in the first year. Again, gold 5,000 years old, everybody knows what it is. Digital gold in the first year blows past. That's how fast it's moving. There are 20 ETFs, the top 20 ETFs we collated. Turns out 10 of them are all Bitcoin related in the last 12 months. So what you can see is that Wall Street is fascinated with Bitcoin-based ETFs, derivatives, anything that's related to Bitcoin is really changing the world. And those ETFs had not a nickel in them January 1st of 2020. Now they have $109 billion of AUM. And you can see this is becoming a major trend. But it's not just a trend in the US. These ETFs are popping up everywhere in the world. You can see these are the global ETFs. They're popping up in Hong Kong and Germany. They're popping up in South America and Brazil and Australia. Pretty much every major capital market has an ETF launching. Why? Because they make it possible to buy Bitcoin in 10 seconds on the phone. Also, because if you're China government, you want people to keep their Bitcoin in a bank regulated by a Chinese regulator. You don't want the capital to flow out of the country. And so these solve capital control issues, compliance issues, tax issues, convenience issues. And 6% of all the Bitcoin has just been slurped up by these ETFs. The people that are buying those, generally, they're just long-term holders. They're buying them for exposure. And so as they buy up this Bitcoin, they're taking it out of circulation. The price is being squeezed up. I was talking about alternative investments, right? Well, here's 60 global billionaires invested in Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? Imagine Bitcoin is 100 rich families sit around and say, well, we like money, we don't trust banks, we don't trust governments, we don't trust any currency, we like to keep our money, but we don't trust each other. So they create a bank in cyberspace, they cap out the number of units at some number, we'll call it 21 million, and then all those families can buy into that bank, and since they don't trust each other, they all run a copy of the bank software. That's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just a very elegant idea for how you get to keep your money, right? Rich people like their money. They want to keep their money, right? This is spreading. Those 60 billionaires, those are just the ones we know, not the ones that own it. I'm sure that a lot of people own it that aren't going to disclose it. But the point that I want to make here is that Bitcoin's the fastest growing alternative investment for high net worth individuals in the world. And if you think about it from first principles, it's by far the easiest. It's not easy to buy buildings or buy, Paul McCartney's music rights or buy natural gas pipelines. But you can buy $20 a Bitcoin, 200, 2,000, 20 million, 200 million, 2 billion, 20 billion. And it doesn't matter how much you buy. You have the same exact property rights, the same exact asset as everybody else. This is very compelling. I say to people sometimes, you try to figure out what to buy to give to your kids or grandkids. Buy something that passes the Bernard Arnault test. Buy something that a person richer than you, more cultured than you, will want to buy from you in a decade. Right? If the billionaires want it now, they're going to want your Bitcoin in a decade. If they want your Bitcoin in a decade, then the price is going up. It's not going down. You'll always find a willing market for it. 70 public companies right now are capitalizing on Bitcoin. In August of 2020, that number was 0, and MicroStrategy was the first. And since then, we're starting to see a viral effect. This is an economic dynamic spreading virally around the world. Why? Because public companies can issue millions or billions of dollars of securities every week, and they can do it again over and over again. So once a public company capitalizes on Bitcoin, they don't just buy 10 million a year or 10 million a week. We went to the market and we raised $1 billion in a convertible bond 1 week. It worked out well. The next week we did it again. The next quarter we did it again. The next quarter we did it again. Last quarter we started to raise $1.5 billion, and then we decided to make it 2, and then we decided at the end of the day to make it 3. So when you're playing with public company money, the amount of capital here is orders of magnitude more than you would see with private corporations. And as each one of these flip, if the miners flip, they go from selling Bitcoin to buying it. And another example, Mara up there, they went and did a convertible bond offering 1 week for something like $800 million. They came back the next week and did another 600. I think they did $1 billion the first week and then like $800 million the next week. And so these are very, very powerful actors in this space. And every major market, this is spreading. Here's a snapshot of Bitcoin ETFs versus the commodity ETFs. What you can see, like we're looking at silver and gold and Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's the winner. Gold is the second best commodity. There really isn't a third, right? The rest are just trading vehicles. You're not going to actually hold any other commodity for any material period of time. So Bitcoin is generally just eating all the commodity ETFs. This is Bitcoin against the bond ETFs. What you can see here is, all the bonds are kind of slow, sleepy money, and Bitcoin is blowing past all of them, right? Do you want 4% return a year, or do you want 99%? There used to be a 60-40 bond portfolio, 60% equity, 40% bond. Now Bitcoin's creeping in to be 1 to 3% of those portfolios. It'll move to 5 to 10% of those portfolios. As it does, the price of Bitcoin is going to skyrocket. This is all these are the largest ETFs in the world. And so it's ranked from the number 1 in assets, the SPY, all the way down. You see where IBIT is on this chart, from nothing crawled up on the board. But what you can also see is that with the performance of IBIT, it's pulling, and Bitcoin, they're pulling so much capital, they're going to slurp the capital out of all the other ETFs. And I don't think it's unreasonable to forecast that IBIT may very well grow to be the biggest ETF in the world within 10 years at the rate it's going right now. And the bad news for you is Bitcoin is beating your favorite hedge fund. These are the best hedge funds. We can find 4 hedge funds that could outperform the S&P in 2024. Most hedge funds underperform the S&P in 2024. But Bitcoin, of course, is crushing all of them. And the joke, of course, is, the bartender, the Uber driver, the aircraft mechanic, they're all buying Bitcoin, right? And they're totally crushing all of the masters of the universe with their PhDs in finance and all of their computers and their 18 screens and all their high frequency trading, right? And it's a reckoning. Bitcoin is the new benchmark. What is it? Well, you have to go back to first principles to figure out what is Bitcoin. This is the great court at MIT, where I studied physics and thermodynamics and engineering. And everybody in the world knows Satoshi discovered a method to transfer value without a trusted intermediary. That's been repeated ad infinitum. It's repeated ad infinitum brainlessly by people that love Bitcoin, by people that hate Bitcoin, by people that want to criticize it. Right, this is the thing. But they don't really think hard about what that means. Because if you can come up with a way to send value between two individuals without a trusted intermediary, you've come up with a way to store value without a trusted intermediary. So the profound idea is not, I can send $1 billion from me to you without a bank in the middle. The profound idea is I can put $1 billion in cyberspace for all of eternity without a bank in the middle. That is to say, we put money in orbit. The difference between putting something in orbit and then putting it in a ballistic trajectory is the ballistic trajectory comes back to Earth. The thing in orbit orbits for 1 billion years. You put it up into a fast enough escape trajectory, maybe it orbits the solar system. Or the sun, maybe it escapes the solar system. Putting something in orbit is profound. Putting money in cyberspace, storing value in a network that doesn't rely on a government, a company, a computer, a counterparty, that's the profound idea. Bitcoin, Satoshi discovered something which is profound. It's digital energy. It's the conservation of energy in cyberspace. It's the first digital thing that you can't copy. You can copy everything else. It represents the transformation of capital, our capital, from finance and physical assets to digital. It is the digital transformation of everything that we think is valuable in this world. And here's a chart of it. Global wealth, $900 trillion. People own things they think are valuable, bonds and currencies and equities and real estate and art and gold. But if you look at that chart and you think about it a bit, you realize that half of those assets are held for the utility value. When you have a car or a plane because you want to fly in it or drive it, it's useful. When you have a building because you need to work in it or manufacture in it, it's useful. But when you just buy something because you need to park your money there, it's long-term capital, it's store of value. It's the rich dude that has 10 houses but lives in one, right? They're just land banking, right? When you buy the bar of gold, it's the rich family that has 87 Picassos in a vault under a mountain in Switzerland. They didn't buy them to look at them. They're just parking their money there. So I'm going to call that long-term capital. That's half of everything, right? When you're a company with bonds on the balance sheet, you're just parking your capital there, right? And so you can see with currencies, with bonds, it's pretty obvious. But a lot of people buy real estate and a lot of people buy stocks because they just have to buy something. They're just putting their money there. Now here's the problem. That $450 trillion parked in financial assets and physical assets is struggling against entropy, against chaos, against inflation, against competition, against the passage of time. right? You had a bunch of land in Pacific Palisades, right? Fire hits. It's not worth as much. You had something on the Gulf Coast of Florida, a hurricane hits you, right? You had a bunch of buildings in downtown Kiev, or maybe you're invested in the best of Siberian real estate, or maybe you had ships and they got caught in a storm and one of them sunk, right? How does your capital get destroyed? It gets destroyed by war and taxation and expropriation, and you have $10 million house in Miami, and then the state of Florida hits you for 2% of it every single year. $200,000 tax bill, right? If you actually took all your money and you just bought a nice property in Miami, your money would be gone in 15 years, right? Your capital is being destroyed all the time. How big a problem is this to the world? It's a $10 trillion problem. Okay, $450 trillion decaying at 3% a year. It's $13 trillion, right? It's a lot of money. And it is the gradual but progressive and certain decay of your capital assets because you have them in short-lived storage containers.
So guys, I think that's a very, very beautiful video, to be honest, and he's like very, very clearly describing and the asset classes and various comparisons that he's doing. In fact, in my previous streams on the YouTube channel and on CheesyBit, I have done this comparison all the while, and I will continue to play this video between 3 to 5, and I'll be live again because I'm about to end this stream. Hopefully this will give you an insight about how Bitcoin can be compared to any other asset class and how it is actually it's outperforming everyone. So it's a bit of consideration that we all need to pay attention to, and also make sure that each of these things that we are discussing out here is a fruitful thing. Even if you haven't really considered, even if you're just starting out, this is just first time that you are getting into this, then after comparing it all to the different asset classes that we have in this global economy, we understand that this is the future. So basically, we'll be discussing more in terms of how this can add value to your life and to your accumulation of wealth going forward, because all we are trying to do on these streams is to create that freedom of wealth, or create a journey or create a pathway for you guys, so that you just don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. We do understand that global recessions, global inflations and everything, it kind of doesn't let any one of us live a normal or comfortable or luxurious life. So what is that can actually help us surpass each and every the hindrances, the bottlenecks that we have on our paths? That's what we are discussing. And if in case these are the things that are actually helping you out in understanding what it means, then you are on the right path. So you need to explore these options, of course, even if you don't want to trade on a day-to-day basis, which can be like too technical, which can also be like too difficult to begin with. There are so many other passive ways of income, and that's what we are trying to guide you in terms of how you can get onto that journey of saving and to invest in various cryptocurrencies and make a lot of money. So guys, with that note, I am going to sign off now. This is Nida Afreen, live from CheesyBit and Zbit platform. Hope to see you between 3 to 5 Dubai time, and I will be discussing furthermore. Maybe I'll be just playing this video, I'll continue playing this video, and we will talk much more about a lot more other different things as we go about on this journey. Take care of yourself. Have a great afternoon ahead, and I will catch with you between 3 to 5 Dubai time. So be available.